Hey guys, it's me, Eliana. I was watching last week's podcast when I heard my sister say she was the favorite child, and I was like, wait a minute, that is not right at all because I am the favorite child. And I didn't want you guys to get any lies or deceit because that's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about bringing you guys the truth. And that right there, that was not the truth. Anyways, speaking of this podcast, we have an amazing guest today. I'm not going to introduce him because my dad spent so much time introducing him this episode, but you are going to love it. It was a great podcast, great content. You guys are going to love it, like I just said. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and get your minds ready to receive this geek.
Tatum and Wade Law Firm, located at 124 East Meat Street, Jackson, Mississippi. Their motto is serious lawyers who get serious results. My motto is if you want to get paid, then you better go to Tatum and Wade.
What's up, world? This your boy, your guy, Coach EV, aka EV the Geeker, and welcome to another episode of the Geeker Report podcast. Listen, I don't know I don't even know how I can contain myself about today's guest. I mean, this guy is a coaching legend. I mean, he was a 1979 Mr. Basketball winner in the state of Alabama, went on to play for two legendary coaches at Alabama, C.M. Newton and Wimp Sanderson, has coached everywhere, played overseas. He's been a head coach at the highest level at Indiana, went to the national championship game and was a runner-up, went on to UAB as a head coach, went to Texas Southern and had every coach in the SWAC scared of him because they just won every time that they played, went to all type of NCAA tournaments. Listen, and now he is getting ready. He is now the head coach at the University of Detroit, and he's getting ready to turn that around. And I know the Horizon League is just going to be just as afraid as they were in the SWAC. Please welcome to the show none other than one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game, Mr. Mike Davis. What up, Mike?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Hey, man, it's great to finally have you on the show. I mean, we go way back. I mean, way back. The Indiana days when I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. You was in Bloomington. You came down, recruited some guys. I know you I'm still kind of tripping on the fact that we didn't get some guys done for you. Especially, I think back, I don't want to bring up any sore spots, but I think back to Sylvester Mays. Sylvester Mays would not listen to me. He wouldn't listen to me and roll. We wanted him to go to IU. He ended up going somewhere else. We're not going to name the school. And, that's that. But, man, I am so happy to have you on the show.
Great to be on. I appreciate it. Great to be on.
Well, hey, listen, we're going to jump right in, man. We want to talk about, it's a lot going on. You're a little older than I am, obviously. I'm 51. You're around 60. So you're my elder statesman, even though you probably look a little younger than me or just as young, look like you still might be able to go out and hit a jumper, even though I don't think you're ready for me. You were the defensive player of the year and on the all defensive team and won the Hustle Award at Alabama. But guys like you, I used to dominate, but that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that. But I want to talk to us a little bit about in this time in America, we've had some of the most challenging times I know in the history of my lifetime, and I would assume maybe the history of yours as well. COVID-19, racial inequalities, injustices, things, like the racial stuff has been going on all the time, but now it's just magnified because we've slowed down. But let's start with COVID-19. How has COVID-19 affected your team and your preparation for this year?
It's definitely devastating. It's a really serious matter. Never in my lifetime have I ever experienced anything like this. And we take so much for granted. We never thought that you would have to wear a mask to go places. You never thought that you have limitations on the things that we have now. Hope that we can find a vaccine to be able to adjust to it. But it's definitely a challenging time.
As far as when you first heard the news back in March, kind of take us through what you were doing at the time. I know the season might have been just ended, or was your season over? Like, tell me where you were when it went down to basically shut down the world.
Well, we was on campus. We had just finished our season. It was in a tournament. Our conference tournament had just ended, and we got the news, and no one knew how serious it was. We thought it was kind of like the flu. They was giving stats out about who could get it, who could pass from it, the percentages of you catching it, certain ages and certain races. And now we know how dangerous it is. It took us a while. I was really taken aback by the first week where you had to be quarantined, stand in, and then when the death tolls rolled in, and my oldest son got it, and that really hit home. I think once someone that you know has it and they're really sick from it, hit home and more conscious and aware of what's going on, how serious it is. So we was all nervous for him. He didn't have a spleen, and they kept saying that if you have an underlying medical issue, it'll really affect you more than a normal person. So we was blessed. They got through it. And from that point on, I was really serious about.
So when you say, and I'm assuming Mike Day, we talking about we call him Lil Mike and Mike Jr. So he contracted it. What was the process on the quarantine? Did he have to go to the hospital, or did you quarantine him at home?
No, he stays by himself. He called me and told me that he wasn't feeling well. Then he said he didn't have any smell or taste, and then he really got symptoms of everything that comes along with it. And so we just try to do things for him. We didn't go over. Had some stuff delivered to him. It took him probably about 4 days to get past.
Okay. Man, that is definitely a blessing, because definitely, like you said, when it starts to hit at home, then people, tend to take things, definitely a little bit more seriously, because it's obviously, and at that time it was early in the game, and so it was still not knowing how serious. We knew it was serious, but you didn't know how serious. And then, like you said, when it hit home, it was like, oh, okay, this thing has, might have some seriousness to it. Did you know, though, going back at that time, even with your son, having it, did you know that we would be into September still with a certain level of uncertainty? Did you know even at that time? Could you predict that? Or what was your thoughts about that?
At first, I didn't think it, but as it went along, April, May, June, you start thinking it's going to be very difficult for us to have a season, because so many people was passing away from all ages. It went from the young can't catch it, and they start talking about the young can get it and pass it along to the adults. I mean, the older elders. So it was different, because what this has shown you is that it's hard for people to come up with a plan or a new plan. So many people in life are so used to doing things year to year and doing it over with, and most people adopt other people's conclusions about certain things. And so I sat there and I watched the TBT $2 million challenge tournament where they did it in the bubble. It was really nice. So the NBA is doing a bubble. No one I know, no matter how smart they were, how long they've been in a job situation, I had any answers for it. No answers. We started school again. Everybody started school, high schools, everything. But there hasn't been any answers. So it just shows you how difficult it is to come up with a legitimate plan from someone. And not only that, but if you don't have a great plan, how can you execute something? Have from a plan standpoint.
If Mike Davis is in charge, let's just go here. If Mike Davis is in charge, would you adopt you talked about the bubble, would you adopt that for college, the non-conference situation, and even the conference? Would you adopt that if Mike Davis was in charge?
I was in charge and I was in this situation. First of all, I would challenge upper people to have testing for everyone that's a part of what we're doing. I would put players in a dormitory or apartment complex, isolate them, and hopefully that they would abide by the rules. The problem is the young kids are going off and doing things on their own. So unless you can bubble and really monitor the situation, it's difficult to have a plan, difficult to execute anything because you have one kid that want to go to the mall or go to the store, have a party, go out with his girlfriend and go to a restaurant and eat. And it's hard. So you have to have cooperation of everyone that's involved in your organization.
That's true. You make a good point, and that's one of the reasons that even when you talk about the TBT, the crazy thing I recall, if one person on the team gets it, the whole team is eliminated, and then you had to bring in either another team before it happened, or that team, even if they won, they actually had to forfeit the game, and so that was crazy. And then in the NBA, the bubble situation, what you're talking about, they're just pretty much making the guys stay in, and they just got so much where they can't, go out. So you make a great point, because it wouldn't be up to you guys as much. Will the kids now? You got to be monitoring them 24 hours a day. You can't go to the mall. You can't bring your girlfriend over, and that is very challenging, because let's just face it, kids are gonna be kids. Man, let's face it, adults gonna be adults. Adults don't want to be cooped up. It's really like, we're calling it a bubble, but you can argue it's a prison. It's just not, it's a little different, but it's kind of similar, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's definitely. But you have so many things that you have to give full cooperation to, and not just do it because it makes sense to you as an individual. You have people out here that need to work, and financially they can't afford not to work, and so they're more willing to take a chance of getting back to work than anything. So it's a tough and difficult situation, and I'm quite sure you have thousands of different opinions about everything.
Okay. Let me shift, because of COVID-19. We're kind of like at a standstill, as far as where the world has stopped, and it's been some violent occurrences as far as the racial. There's a lot of racial tension right now, and this is not, obviously this is nothing new. It's been going on for years, but now it's being videotaped. Talk to us in your mind about what's happening in the world, as far as, we know about the George Floyd killing, that really one can argue that you saw a public lynching on television. That's the equivalent of what they used to do back in the South, when they used to lynch a black young boy. You did that right on television, and then now with this more, and then, to be honest, that took some legs of its own because of this COVID-19. Everybody was watching it, and then just recently we had the shooting of the young man in the back in Wisconsin. Talk to me your thoughts, because, like I said, you've gone through some of this stuff yourself. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, the George Floyd thing was definitely something that got everyone's attention. It's not like it never happened before, but in this age, you have the video and the person was standing there with the video. I think it took on a different direction than most, just because he was Stephen Jackson's friend, and Stephen Jackson was a former NBA basketball player that does the podcast, and he's outspoken lot of issues that's going on in the world. And when it happened to his friend, then the world got a chance to hear it from a sports standpoint. Uh, and other NBA guys, other celebrities got involved with it. It just took a different course than it ever taken before. And it was sad to have to go through it, but I think sometimes in our life we have situations that happens that makes us aware of who we are and makes us aware of what's going on. Uh, and I just think we lost a lot of momentum with the George Floyd situation again because we didn't have a plan. And there's no plan. Everybody got emotional about it, and you should have. Um, I don't agree with the violence and the protesting. I don't agree with going out and burning down people's businesses, and because that's not the way America's supposed to be. Uh, protest without violence. And so, from the basketball arena, from the basketball coaches arena, we black coaches, we went on and had conversations about it. But again, there was no plan what we wanted to do, what we was trying to do. It was just, everyone talking about past experiences, and that's good and fine, and that's a part of, they needed to hear or know, but at that time, what are we going to do as black coaches, to try to change it? And the suffering that we're going through right now as black coaches shouldn't be going on. We should have solved this a long time ago. I can remember you and I talked about this, about the black players going playing for black coaches. If you do that, if you did that, then you would have enough black coaches in the Power Five right now that would, let's take this for example. I'm not sure how many Power Five schools there are, but there's only 8 Power Five black head coaches, which is embarrassing when you have so many really good black players and we dominate sports from a talent standpoint. So if there was half, let's say it's 50, if you had 25 head black coaches in the Power Five, then you just generated 25 millionaires. So if you generate 25 millionaires, then economically you'll be able to do a lot of different things. And that's our problem right now, EV. I think that hard to treat. We don't have any economics where we don't own anything. We don't come together as a race. Less than 10% of the McDonald's All-Americans go play for black coaches in the last 10 years. And so, but when you address it, they're not black then. They're not black. The McDonald's All-Americans are not black. They born here because they say this guy can make you a pro. Well, again, it's us. It's us. So if you're never gonna trust us, then how are we gonna be powerful in basketball? I'm not talking about any other thing in the world. I'm just talking about the basketball standpoint. What I know, what I've experienced, I've seen my life. So if you generate 25 head black coaches, you got 25 millionaires who can come together, band their money together, and they go buy a business or something that help the black community. Because we're the one race that don't stick together for anything. I've been to Chinatown and in certain places, and I've never seen a black person working in their restaurants. So we need to, and we're suffering sometimes because we don't understand that, no one makes you a pro. No one makes you a pro. And the people who probably have more to do with you being a professional is the person you're living with, or the person in your community that's taking you to the gym and working with you before you ever see a college basketball. That's years and years and years and years of preparation. But less than 10% go play for a black coach, less than 10%. So the percentage of McDonald's All-Americans going to the NBA you have a greater chance being one of the top 25 players to go to the NBA. So now when you don't go play for a black coach, you go play for a white coach, then you go play there, then your money that you make in the NBA goes back to that school. But that school, how you ever gonna be, how would Texas Southern ever be equal to Kansas? You're never gonna be equal to Kansas. Because first of all, from an economic standpoint, you don't have the facilities or the resources to ever be equal. So if you want to solve this deal, then put us in a situation where not just, I mean, they talking about going playing for a black school, but I coached at Texas Southern. A Power Five school is never going to worry about a white school competing for the same player. Never. That's it's hard to, if you get one out of, you're only getting less than 10% out of the McDonald's. So what you gonna get going to the black schools? And what my experiences was at Texas Southern, we need resources. We need to let me give you an example. This is tell you, okay. I'm in Indiana, head coach. I stepped down. We're flying back from NCAA tournament. I think I may have told this story one time. We flying back from the NCAA tournament, and we on the plane with the commission from the SEC, and he's talking to me about the Ole Miss job. So it came over. Asked me would I have an interest in it because they're looking for a black coach. No, I have no interest in the Ole Miss job because Rob Barnes is a friend of mine. He was my friend, and so the guy couldn't believe and that I had no interest in the job. It's not a good job, but I had to. At some point, you have to take a stand, friends. And so here I am. I didn't have a job. I was out of a job in Indiana, but I took a stand for Rob because they had just fired Rob at Ole Miss, who had played at Ole Miss. And so I took that stand, and I have a family, needed the money and everything. I took that stand. I made that commitment not to go. So by me making that commitment not to go, Rob even called me and said, "Hey, look, I'm hearing that they want you to come down and they have interest in you in coming down." And I said, "Rob, you're my friend. How can I follow my friend? How can I go and coach at a university to just fire my friend?" And so I took that stand. All right. Fast forward, went to UAB, had 4 straight 20-win seasons, got fired for lack of fans, as far as raising money for tickets and stuff. Go to the Texas Southern. And at Texas Southern, that was my finest moment. People were telling me, well, don't, you shouldn't take no swag job. But see, that's the way we think, EV. We would get brainwashed to think that a black school for some people is the best thing that they can go, the best place that they can be. So I went to Texas Southern, and it's not even about basketball, but I was proud of Texas Southern. I wore Texas Southern gear every single day. And when I left Texas Southern, there was tons of black coaches who had told me that they would never coach in the swag, and back and forth was applying for jobs in the swag. But our mindset was not to go to the swag. Don't take a black job. I even had guys ask me, well, if I go to the swag, I may get stuck there. I won't be able to get another job, a bigger job. Why would you want that? Why would you want? Here I am. I've been in Indiana, UAB, have great knowledge of basketball, been a lot of places. Why would I want to share that with the black athletes in the SWAC? But again, there we go again. We only want to be black when it's certain things, and then it's hard for us to make a commitment to something and sacrifice something. I sacrificed, not saying they would have given me the Ole Miss job, but I made it clear I had no interest in going there. So you have a lot of parents that got great players. Again, if you went and played for black coaches, you would generate millionaires. You generate millionaires in the basketball profession, then the AD is going to hire people that look like you, that's winning, and now you take that money and you put it back into the communities. This is just from a basketball standpoint. You grow, you grow, you grow. You got so many young Black coaches out here that can be powerful and great. It's given the opportunity, but the opportunity come is that if we have the product, you have the product and the product going and playing. NBA guys that play Power 5 schools, they give money back to the Power 5. Need your money? Don't need your money. And so you should adopt a Black school. You should adopt a SWAC, a MEAC, whatever school it is. Build a locker room. Take care of the volleyball, the football, the offices, and build it up to where if you have a kid that may not, from a behavior standpoint or whatever standpoint it may be, that can function somewhere, then he can come to the SWAC or the MEAC or Black school and feel just as comfortable with the facilities that you would be at a Power 5 school. But it's never going to be equal if we continue to make excuses about why we're not going to certain schools and have certain coaches.
That's powerful, Mike. You said something very powerful. You said a lot. What I really got out of that, and I hadn't thought about this. You said that it can take, with more Black coaches, economically, it can help the communities. You're talking about, like you said, 25 coaches, that's 25 millionaires. So that could be from 25 different cities across the country, that people of different cities now, they have an opportunity, and almost an opportunity, almost an obligation to pour back into the community, even besides just the Black schools, the local boys and girls clubs, the churches, all type of things that can help build those communities up. That's important because, and it's nothing against the white coaches. That's not what they're doing with their money. I mean, so at the end of the day, you're exactly right. That's something that can be done. But let me ask you this: how do we? It seems to me, and me being a former AAU guy, it seems to me that the AAU guys and grassroots guys and even high school coaches have a lot of power in this thing. How can we change the narrative to kind of at least level the playing field? So, for example, just 2 weeks ago on Twitter, it had Fox Sports put out, if you could play for any of these 5 coaches, which would it be? And all 5 of them were white coaches. None of them were Black coaches. So it's assumed automatically in America that the best coaches are white. And so everybody's bought into that. How do we change the narrative from the grassroots level? How do we get these,
Again, you have to make a commitment, and maybe they don't, maybe, listen, I didn't turn down on this job, but I made it clear I had no interest in the job. So from a grassroots standpoint, those guys are the most powerful guys there are. But you're gonna have to sacrifice in order for us to make the next jump. And what they'll say, maybe that school's not big enough. Okay, but if you send them to Black coaches at high level, you don't have 8, you got 50. You got 50. And I think different from a lot of people, because like I said, I've been a person that, from the emotional standpoint, I watch, I listen, if we had that, and we've lost that, we've lost that because some school may do this, do that, and then we send our kid that school, and all of a sudden this coach has a reputation of making pros, because when I get a top 2 or 3 player on my basketball team, he's already a pro. The only reason he's going to college because they make you go to college. And so the young men right now who's left and gone to the G League to play, they didn't go to college. So who made them a pro? And so from the grassroots standpoint, if we don't get on the same page, no matter how I like you or don't like you, we have to put our players in those situations in order to get power. You don't have power if you don't have the product. You don't have power. It's like every Zoom I've been on, they talk about vote, 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 vote. What good is voting if the person you voting from haven't given you a commitment of what he's going to do for you and your community?
Watch out, Mike. Watch out.
But am I making sense?
Yes.
Go out and vote. I've heard going out and vote so much, but everybody's talking about going out and voting. Hadn't heard one thing about what they're going to do for the Black community, but the Black community is a big vote. It's an important vote. It's a powerful vote. So it was a powerful vote. We're back in the same situation that we are from a basketball standpoint, less than 10%. But everybody can justify why they went to a certain school. So now, like I said, you go to that school, not only do you go to that school, but you start creating a dream for the next person to go to that same school because of the success that they have on the court, because of the success that they have in getting guys drafted. Now you taking that money and you giving it back to the school you went to. That's why they can have chefs and nice facilities and have the reputation. That's why they can put those 5 guys up there and you want to go play for them. But we don't never have a plan. It should be any more suffering for us in a basketball world. No more suffering. People asking me my opinion about the NBA strike boycott, it got a lot of attention. But you just boycotted the league that has given you permission to be on the platform. Never has a league given you a platform to speak out the way they give you. I mean, every coach is wearing the same badge, every wearing different shirts. So you have probably what percentage of Blacks and whites that want to do right. So you boycott the one profession that's giving you the platform.
That's right.
So what you did was, you boycotted, but every owner has said, do your thing. The commissioner said, express yourself, but you go boycott. I was disappointed, and again, who am I to speak? But that's just my opinion. I wouldn't boycott the one organization that has given me the power to speak for myself. Now I heard it say, well, if they don't do what they tell us to do, then we're not going to play. And we should have been doing that. Why would you go? Why wouldn't you generate the millionaires in our profession what we own? What we own? We even have guys who didn't go to high school that say if they had to go to college, they would go to a school that they have a Black coach. So again, that kid read that, and he's thinking that's where I should go. So if we don't change that, we're never going to control basketball, and that's in every walk of life of what we do. It's every walk of life. Equality is power. We have the power in basketball, not just to be equal. We have the power in basketball and football at a top 25 salary for all the coaches in the country in football and basketball. Only 2 Blacks was in the top 25 in salaries. Only 2 with all the Black athletes that you have. But that's the message that we should be getting out to all these parents about, hey, we got to change this. We got to change this.
And you're exactly right, Mike. And here's the thing, and I want to make this clear to our listeners. I'm right with you, Coach. I was like the boycott, and I'm with you. Where is the plan? I get so tired of meetings. We're doing this, we're doing that, but there's no plan. And we still don't have a plan of action. And I want the listeners to understand what we're talking about is if we wouldn't be having this conversation or going down this direction if it had been fair all along. Because then now you are choosing me not based on the color of my skin, you're choosing me based on how I perform. And if we just would have had
a lot of it, you saying fair, a lot of it is, if I'm an AD, I'm just talking about the basketball world. I'm not talking about anything in the basketball world. Why would an AD hire a Black coach when the best black we got less than 10% of the McDonald's All-American? It's their jobs now. It's their jobs to win. It's their jobs to make sure that their alumni are happy with the coaches they hired, the winning, the going to the tournament, the money that is generating from the NCAA tournament, from the championship. But we can't even get the best of our own.
That's right.
We can't even get the best of our own. So if you can't get the, and then when you ask them why, it's always an underline. It's always an underline. You know, I heard a guy say one time, I was listening to a guy say, when Rosa Parks wouldn't give us a seat up, that all the black people, they boycotted the white bus system. They boycotted the system. And when they boycotted the system, it cost that bus line millions and millions and millions of dollars because they all stuck together. And what he said was, when they said, okay, you can, then most black people just happy to ride, be on the white bus, be able to sit in the white bus in the front, instead of going getting their own bus line.
Come on.
Own your own bus system. You know, so if you own your own bus system, that money is generated back into the community. You know, I mean, I go to college, AV, and I come back in 4 years and played in the NCAA tournament, did some really good things from a basketball standpoint. And then I come back and there's black kids that didn't even go to college that graduated from me that was living way better. You know, and when you have black athletes, black people that go to college and get a degree and they can't even find a job. But what if we own a lot? What have we done? I take my hat off to LeBron when he opened up his school. You know, that's a big deal. And we had our own people criticize that. How can you criticize that? Well, the reason he did it don't matter about the reason. He did it. You know, he giving these kids education. But again, you can have the education, but if you don't own anything, who's gonna hire you? You know, who's gonna hire you? You know, so we have to. I'm only talking about the basketball standpoint, the basketball world. You know? So everybody wants to go vote Democrat. If you say you want to vote Republican, they hate you. How could you do that? You know, all of that. But again, I go back to this. If you want me to vote, tell me what you're gonna do for me. Us. If I vote so powerful, tell me. Don't just say, well, we're gonna make America better. America is great for some people already.
That's right.
You know, what you gonna do for us? Like tell me, if we don't get the black players, then the eight head coaches in the Power Five, it's justified. It's justified. You know, Nate McMillan gets fired the other day. Not one guy boycotted that.
Right. Come on.
The man finished fourth. You know, Dwayne Casey get fired. He get fired because he can't beat LeBron. Who was beating LeBron? You know, he gets fired. Nobody said, no player. If you ever say, if players say, you know what, we're not going to your school, we're not going there. We're not going there anymore because we felt like you just did this coach wrong. But they got us brainwashed to tell us it's business. It's not personal. Okay. You say it's business, then we're not going to go because we can hurt your business, us not going to that organization, that school. No one. Nate McMillan was just a, okay, he got fired. He finished in the top 4 or 5 in the league. Wayne Casey was winning it. You know, so how many NBA guys have been cut? It's just business. How many black coaches have been fired? It's just business. It makes us think that way to make us say it's okay. Let's take a stand. You know, if you want to take a stand, we need to generate millionaires in this business in college basketball to be able to put it back into the community, like you said. And if we can do that, if all the kids start going here, then you won't have 5 white coaches of who you want to go play for. You have 5 black coaches for who you want to go. But that's what we decided to do. But for years, it's going playing. And as long as you're doing that, you got some schools don't even have a black coach on their campus, a head coach on their campus, and you still go to that university. So we pick and choose when it's important. We pick and choose. I hope that makes sense to you because
it makes perfect sense, man. You talking my type. I mean, listen, basically you're saying you at Texas Southern, if you had Zion Williamson and Anthony Davis at Texas Southern, they still would have been the #1 pick in the draft. That's what you're saying.
They didn't have to go to school. But again, we have these coaches out here saying, well, we should have all these black kids go pay for black schools. The black schools don't need them right now. They need resources. When I coached in the SWAC, we dressed in classrooms. We didn't even have a locker room for us to dress in. So you need the resource. We need those guys at those big schools to put the resources back. See, I've been in all levels. So stop saying go and plan for the black school. Say go play for the black coach.
Gotcha.
But if you say that now, you looked at differently. You say go and play for a black school. It's much easier to say go play for a black school than it is to go say go play for a black coach. Much easier, I mean, the Black Lives Matter T-shirts, all that stuff. All that stuff is good and fine, I guess. But what's the plan? And what you gonna do? Are you gonna continue to send your kids to the same school, same thing, and then say Black Lives Matter? Are you gonna continue to do that? So if you continue to do that, I don't care what shirt you wear. I'm gonna keep getting you to come to my program, and then it's what you hear from a lot of black coaches that's in the Power 5. Well, I made enough money. It's okay right now. Okay. Yeah, but we need 50 more of you.
That's right. We got to have a successor mentality.
We need 50 more of you because we need to be able to generate gyms around the country with academic people in those gyms where when the kid come in there and work out and play with really good training and computers to where academics, they can become stronger. But our world, it's just like a lot of these guys on TV. I don't even listen to the sports stations anymore because they criticize our best of our best. They criticize us so bad it makes us want to choose between LeBron and Michael Jordan. We always got to have a top 5, and that's good and fine. But the bottom line is, you can go about it a different way. It shouldn't be okay to criticize and tear down a person that we all know has greatness to them. It should be that way. But who does that? It's okay to be on these talk shows every morning on ESPN and they talking about this guy, how bad Damian Lillard is. The man just had 60 points. You can pick things out of that. That's why our world is going to the place it's going to. You shouldn't be able to do that. It should be a code. It used to be a code. A person was good to be able to come on TV and not criticize someone, but talk, give information to where we wanted to watch it. Now, I didn't want to watch somebody talk about criticizing this player and making our best of our best look like he's nothing. And on a basketball court, everybody in the world knows this guy's a great player. But this guy's got, not only do you have family, but you have fans and young kids that has to listen to that. And like I said, we are people that adopt other people's conclusions about certain things without even researching things for ourselves. Now every time you read a headline now, a lot of times has nothing to do with the article. So you want to change all of that, then you want Joe Biden, you want Donald Trump, whichever one that you want. What are you going to do for us? What are you going to do for us as a people? Because our vote must be important. It must be powerful. You keep begging for it. You got everybody now saying go and vote. But everybody is saying go and vote, go and vote, go and vote. Has never said that Joe Biden or Donald, whoever it is, has promised us that they're going to stick to this and do this for us. I haven't heard it.
That's right. I haven't either.
I haven't heard it.
And every time they do say they're going to do something, whatever they do, somehow when it gets to the time they get to doing it, something happens where it never gets done, or some,
it never gets done because they don't come out and say we're going to do this.
That's right.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this because again, there's always an underline of words and stuff to throw you off. Again, tell us what you're going to do for us. Stop all these people on TV. Stop criticizing our heroes, killing our heroes, talking about our heroes so bad. And now heroes, you guys, let's step up and let's do something different than what we've been. There's no need for us to suffer anymore. Like there's no need for us to suffer. And I truly think that all the things that happen right now, going on right now, we need to have a plan for it. It's a virus that we have. We don't have a plan for it, and the racial stuff. I mean, you have more white coaches coming out now saying things, and that's fine and good. It takes courage for you to come out and say something. But again, what are we going to do for us? I mean, what are we going to do for us? I mean, it's again, we boycotting, but if you don't boycott the people that's giving you an opportunity on a platform. Let's say, you know what, we're going to send all our guys to all the schools that got black head coaches, all the NBA basketball players. We're going to do this. We're going to generate so much power and so much money. Like, again, I'm just talking about basketball because that's the world I'm in. And then you will see. And once you hit them economically, they'll change.
That's right. Economic is the thing. Man, let's shift here, man. I mean, I'm all excited, man. Like, you talking my type of language, man. Like, there's a lot. Things that you said, I am truly in agreement with you on and been trying to talk about for years. But some stuff, and this is really, if you think about it, this is one of the few times in history that we have our moment where we can talk about it. At least people are beginning to understand. And if they don't understand, it's almost like they're saying, okay, we need to give them their time to vent right now. And the challenge has been, just like you said, the Bible says without a plan, a vision, the people perish. Without a plan, the people perish. It's the same thing. And that's what's been happening. We still don't have a plan. We're excited. We're meeting. We're boycotting. We're protesting. We're marching. We're doing all of that with no plan of action. What are we going to do? And we're always in reactive mode versus proactive mode. What are we going to do from here? So, man, I'm all in with that. And so, but let me shift, man, to a segment that we call the What's Your Geek segment. And this segment is brought to you by Fahrenheit Graphics and Sweet Mary Kay Photography. This is a section where we just sit back and say, who is Mike Davis? Talk to us about your wife, your children, and even give us a little insight on your playing career and some things that we may not know from Mike Davis along those lines.
Well, most people that know me know I'm from Alabama. Know my situation coming up. Played in a real small town and was Mr. Basketball and from a real small town and ranked in the top. I think I was ranked 38th in the coming out from a small town. So it tells you that you be recognized no matter where you are if the right people. I'm not saying that I was that number for sure, but right people see, they put a tag on you, they rank you. I went to Alabama, played for 4 years, won Hudson Award 4 straight years, and I'm not graduating from Alabama. And that's what I was saying earlier. I didn't get my degree in 4 years because I didn't know how important it was. My whole thing was to go play basketball, and it took me years later to go get my degree. So I've been through a lot. From that standpoint, that's why I can understand how hard it is to get a job if you're not qualified. And it's easy for people to turn you down. I have 2 boys and a daughter. Now my son Antoine plays for me. My oldest son Mike works for me. We live downtown Detroit. I feel like I've been here for this, be my 3rd year at Detroit University, but I really feel like this is my 1st year here. Because the first year we got the job, we got it so late. We got it really, really late. Last year we was on probation, so we was behind the 8 ball, being on probation. Because Detroit, when you hear the name Detroit, people don't, they think Detroit is like a bad place. There's so many bad things. We end up not signing really anyone. We signed the same kind of kids we did the first year. They only had like 1 offer that was us. And so This is our first year. We had a really good recruiting class this year. This is the first full time, even though we had the virus going on, the first full recruiting class that we actually had to come in here. We got some guys I feel like can compete for a championship in our league. And if we do have a season, maybe we can get deep in the tournament with the players that we have. I gave back $125,000 of my salary during this time here to make sure that my coaches furloughed, because this is a very difficult time in our society, and we hadn't been working, but everybody's still getting paid. And I've given back that and promised more money from this year's salary. Generate some funds for our staff. So, I'm just a guy, man, that, like I said, I have my own opinions about things. I don't agree with a lot of things that's going on. I think the only way you make a change in this world is to put us in a situation where it's 99% of the McDonald's All-American going coaches and more Black coaches, Power 5, so we can generate economics for the community where they are, go back and get all these NBA players to understand that you have power, but you lost a lot of your power that's coming through from high school to college. You lost some of the power because you didn't generate what you're supposed to generate to get us in the position, power of coaching in these positions. I was at Indiana, and I can't tell you how many top players that didn't even give us a look. Indiana's been one of the best schools in the history of tradition from a basketball standpoint. You put a Black guy in Indiana, and I was there at Tony Dungy for the coach, Isaiah for the Pacers. I was at Indiana, and that's the time to be able to generate every top player to be going there. The next person out of the next person. I know I get back on that subject, but it's something that we have to know as a people. I mean, you and I have been talking about this a long time. You put me on the phone with a top 10 player father one time about him coming to Texas, about him coming playing for Texas Southern. You want him to go play for a Black school. And when you say that, again, I tell you this before, when you say that, a lot of parents that have really good players, they become really smart, and they don't want no part of that. They want to move on to what they think is a clear shot for their kid to be a pro, because that's what they hear about. We got to come together, baby. I mean, I know you want to talk about this, that we have to come together. People, and I've said this 15 years ago, they're not going to need us in coaching anymore. Pretty soon they're not going to need us. So let's boycott that. Let's send. Look at football. Football is worse than basketball. Very few Black head coaches in football. Very, very few. But when you start talking about that subject, then you get all the emotions and why you can't go there. This guy did somebody wrong, or this guy didn't make it when he went there and played for that coach. You want to dominate, and you got to corner the market of whatever field that you're in. And you got to do it. You got to make a commitment. Like I made, not having any interest in the Ole Miss job because of my friend. And so make these. Okay, no Black school. I mean, no Black coach recruiting my kid. But you recruit them. Call them. Call them. I mean, we sit around the barber shop. Like my oldest son told a barber one time, how would you feel if all Black people went to a white barber? How long would you last in the business? You sit around the barber shop, and that's where all the conversations go on. A lot of time you go back and forth. But how would you feel if I wasn't your customer? No Black people came to you. It's time to clean up the Black communities. I mean, I'm afraid a lot of communities I go in. I'm looking left and right, because of just the environment, the way it looked, and the way these young kids have no fear of life and death. I mean, You just don't know. But if you go in and you clean up the streets, every black nigga I've been in, the streets are terrible. You got potholes, and who want to be in that environment? Let's clean it up. Let's make it a neighborhood again, not just a hood. Let's stop calling the black community the hood, and let's start calling it a neighborhood by building it to another level, to where no matter who you are, what race you are, you're okay going into that community. Let's start spending our money with our people. You know, let's go to a restaurant. That restaurant, take that money, go buy their supplies. Let's open up a Costco. You know, from a black standpoint of fams. Let's get a store like that, and so everybody know whatever name you give it, that's black owned. We go to that. So now we get our product from that store in the restaurant, and in the restaurant you put that money in the bank. So now you got the black owned grocery store going to the black owned restaurants, that's going to the black owned banks. You know, makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I'm
Now,
with you. I get it.
It's going around. It's going around. All these protests that they're doing is good. Don't get me wrong, but let's come up with that plan and stick with that plan. But it's hard to stick with that plan because again, the ice is colder. You know, they can produce more pros. You know, I mean, I look at this EV, and you may not even notice this. If a kid is getting ready to transfer, you have these sports writers that come up and say, these are the 10 schools he should be looking at. You know, and maybe one of them is a black coach. Maybe one. These are our 10 schools he should be looking at. You know, and I remember the time that they wasn't that bold to do that. They bold to do that. It's like that's a really bold. I'm not sure who put those 5 coaches out there like that, but that's a bold statement. That's a bold. I think it's the 5 coaches because I saw the 5 coaches. All of them are great coaches. You know, but that's a bold statement to say which one of these 5. You know, which one of these 5 would you want to play for? With no black coaches, but 70% of the all conferences and players of the year are black players. It's bold to say that.
Yeah, when we talk about it, any of those schools and of those coaches, nothing against them, great coaches, but I've always said, and I've coached in over 900 games myself, and at the end of the day, as great a coach as I think I am in 28 years, I think I'm a pretty good coach, but I'm only as good as my player. I mean, you gotta have players. I mean, I don't know why people don't understand, and that's what I understand. We have the product. And so, as good as Zion Williamson was for Duke, he would have been just that good for Texas Southern. He would have been just that good for Jackson State. He'd have been just that good for Missouri.
But again, though, Evie, I don't want to cut you off on it, but you know, those guys went to a school based on the pros ahead of them, before them. You know, so you celebrate it from your peers when you make those moves. You know, you celebrate it, and maybe they didn't even understand what they're doing. They may not even understand that. Hey, man, you know, we got 8 guys in the Power 5. 8. That's speaking for itself. And if you know, like I said, this is my first year here, really, because the first 2 years were so in disarray and so many obstacles ahead of us. You know that if we even was in the game a lot of time with the personnel that we had. Now I'm not down to any player. That's the first thing. Well, you know, you should be talking about. I'm not talking bad about any of it. Just the truth, what we end up, you know, getting. But it's our first year, and you do win with players. You do win with players. I played for a national championship. I've been to the tournament everywhere I've been, and I had a sports guy tell me when I was at Texas Southern that a certain job was too big for me from Texas Southern, but I played for a national championship in Indiana. He don't understand what he was saying to me. I wasn't big enough for a certain job because now when I went to Texas Southern in the SWAC, I was a SWAC guy. You know, my body of work at UAB, my body of work at the Indiana was all erased by me going to Texas Southern. We beat some Power Five schools.
That's right.
Texas.
Sure
You
did.
know, we beat some
Beat
Power
Michigan State.
Five.
Beat
So
Kansas State.
you take what I had and you put the best coaches who you have, the best that you think the best of. You put me on that bus for 13 hours. You put me in that situation. How many Power Five schools you going? You walk in that gym, everybody the officiating, all of them. They ain't really for you in those games.
That's right.
They're a Big Ten, ACC, Power Pac-12. They're that officiating crew. They ain't the SWAC crew. So what allegiance do they have to the SWAC? You know what I make sense? So by me going to Texas Southern, all of a sudden, you know, I'm not a coach anymore. I'm not a coach anymore. And not only that, but you had, I mean, I wouldn't even get into interviews. And here I am. I see guys that gotten fired, had great talent, and then come back and get a better job than what they had before. And it was okay. It was okay. It was okay to get them another job, a better job, and it's okay for those players to continue to go play for them. You know, but if we get fired from a job, I didn't get fired from any. I left on my own. It was time for me to go. I got fired at UAB. Like I said, I had 4 straight 20-win seasons. I haven't done that. The history of that school had never been done. The first four straight 20-win seasons. But I get fired because of ticket sales. You know, and then and it's still black kids going to UAB and playing. You know, but if we don't ever stick together, then we can stop crying for all this equality and things that you want. Why would I make you equal if you have nothing to offer me that's going to put me in that situation? I'll ask you for your vote. You still keep voting for me. You still voting for me. And the communities are still the same. You know, they're still the same.
That's right, man. You preaching the truth. Man, I appreciate you, and I want to end with a couple things. I want to ask you about because man, you've just been phenomenal, and you've been talking my type of stuff, man. You really have. Tell me, you know, you're at Detroit, and like you said, you pretty much kind of touched on it. Basically, you consider this your first year. So at the end of the day, this year, because we asked a tough question around here. So this year, there's no doubt in your mind that you're going to be competing for a Horizon League championship this year. There's no question.
We got good players. We signed a kid that transferred in here from Seton Hall, who's at Syracuse. When he was at Syracuse, he was he averaged almost 10 points a game as a freshman in the ACC, being 6'11". Didn't play a whole lot at Seton Hall, but you know how I do with those kind of guys. You know, he has talent, big time talent. You know, you've seen what I've done with the players like that. Those guys. We have another kid, a fifth-year kid from Cal Baptist, 6'7", shot 50% from the three-point. We got a kid that we have transferring in here from Niagara as well. Really skilled. He could be an NBA pro. Guards that can handle the basketball and shoot the basketball. I mean, we only had one guy that can handle the ball last year. My first year, we had 2 people can handle the whole team, like the whole team. First year, 2 guys. This past year, one guy. So, you know, again, you walk in here, a situation, and get it late. The perception of Detroit is different around the people around the country. Make sure you go on probation, and no one is going to sign here going on probation. No one. I mean, no really good player is going to sign. But we got some really good players. I'm excited about it. Really excited about it. We got some real players. And my oldest son and I, we talk all the time. We won games, and probably shouldn't have won many of those games because of our personnel.
Let me ask you this, and I know this has been a challenge because I've heard this. Obviously, if anybody, unless you're under a rock, everybody by now have heard of your son Antoine, who is a phenomenal shooter. And I'll never forget when you were at Texas Southern and I was at the game at Jackson, Mississippi. You took out your phone and showed me Antoine shooting against your Texas Southern team. And I'll be honest, I was thinking to myself, man, why is Mike showing me this? This boy, he didn't his boy hitting some shots. The team ain't taking him serious. They trying to be nice to him, and lo and behold, your son came out, and I talked to an NBA scout, uh, me and my guy Ro ourselves, and as before his freshman year, the NBA scout said that he arguably could be the best shooter in America. And so my hat's off to you, Mike. I was wrong. You told me he could shoot. You wasn't the typical dad that just was, showing me some videos. Although that's what I thought to myself. And he comes to Detroit and Detroit has got some history with some shooters. I don't know if you know, back when I lived in Saginaw, Michigan, and I went to a school called Saginaw Valley Lutheran. Milton Barnes was assistant coach at the time, and a white point guard that I played with, Billy Wood, went to Detroit and was my teammate back in 1987. And you talk about one of the greatest shooters to ever play in America came from Detroit by the name of Archie Tullis. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet Archie Tullis yet. Archie Tullis was a phenomenal shooter. And then you also have, everybody knows about the internet sensation Rashad Phillips. And now we have your son, Antoine. Tell us how hard it's been to get guys in. You talk about your recruiting class when you have the naysayers out there saying, oh man, his son gonna take all the shots. How have you, talk to us how you've diffused that?
Well, I don't even try to diffuse it, to be honest, because a lot of people saying that they don't even get they're not even average more shots than the other guys on our team now. It's like I had a kid that averaged 4 points a game. If you brought that up, but this guy brought that up, and I showed him where our second lead attempt guy would have been second on their team, and this guy only averaged 4 points a game for that team. So you know what his shot selection, his shot was. Again, people just speak out of emotion and they don't really look at the fact of what it is. This would be Antoine. If we have a season, this would be his best season that he can have as a college basketball player. What people fail to understand is that the other opposing coaches know. They got, even we played Clemson, big school, they got one guy guarding, they got two guys sparring. They got 3 and 4 guys guarding at a time. Now he's finally going to be able to play on a team that has other guys that can go make plays. Probably going to have that other guard that can handle the ball and pushes the guys around that can really shoot it. And so this would be his best basketball season if we can have one. You're going to see a totally different guy. You're going to see a guy that takes net shots, averaging more points, because playing with other guys that can play. I watch the NBA games, and Antoine can play and shoot. They can't play. They can't be sitting in the paint helping out. They can't go on the ball screen. That big guy can't be waiting down there for him to come off that ball. And he's only, like right now he weighs 164, but the last 2 years he'd been 157 and 158 and 159 and doing that. So you put some good players around him. People are gonna always talk, it's daddy ball. Like I said, it was daddy ball, you put one guy on. You don't even guard a daddy ball. Like you don't even guard a daddy ball. Either we play, have 3 or 4 guys guard him all the time, and they know they take him away, they hold and grab, foul and do a lot of different things. But we got some other guys. He should average 8 assists a game this year. He's averaging 4.5 assists per game this year. And his career average of assists is like 4 assists per game. When you compare him to the Damian Lillards and the C.J. McCollum, those guys in college, all of that, he's averaging more assists than those guys. He's averaging more assists. So you put other guys around him. I shocked the guy when I told him that. He couldn't believe, that the assists that he averaged. So you put some other guys, he can throw lobs, dunk, kick ahead and transit to other guys counter basketball. So, we have a weapon, and he's definitely a weapon on our team. But when you put guys around you coached against me in Texas. So I let Trey Jefferson play. He wasn't my son. I let Chris Thomas play. I let Zach Lofton play. I let Robert Baton play. I let Brayson Wright play. I let Jerry Jeffers play. None of those guys are my son.
That's right.
I let Kennyworth play. So it's easy for someone to say something and for people to believe it because, again, you adopted somebody else's conclusion of what they're saying without actually addressing the facts. I've lost a lot of players because of Antoine. We had some guys last year that we should have gotten, but again, the probation hurt us. But we had guys asking for how many shots they're going to get, and then they're having 2 points a game. You averaging 2?
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're averaging 25, we'll give you some shots. You see the shots these guys get this year playing for. You're averaging 4 points a game. Your next 3-point shot you hit will be your first one. You know what I'm saying? And every one of them that went somewhere, every one of them, every single one, I'm not saying every one of them went somewhere else. Only they get less shots. They didn't even start. But that's the emotion, that's the adopted stuff they get from what other people are saying, and everybody, everywhere I ever coached, I've had the best player. Everybody. And when the best player tell you, Robert Baden can shoot my balls. Brayson Wright can shoot my balls. Trey Jefferson can shoot. Dante Clark came from UMass to shoot my ball. If you can't shoot, I'm not letting you shoot. I don't care who you are. So that's the struggle that I have. But I'm cool with it because, again, we're gonna make Detroit really exciting from a basketball point. If all injuries, no one get hurt, we're gonna make it a powerful basketball this year.
Well, Coach, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. It has been exciting. It's been a blessing, and man, I look forward to. I'm gonna be on watching. I can't wait to see Detroit this year. I can't wait to see you and Tracy Dildy on that sideline. Hey, y'all don't get it done. I'm gonna be calling you, talking about you. So I'm gonna get it. We're gonna make that phone call.
I've got it done everywhere I've been. And like I said before, this was more challenging here just because of situation that we was in. But again, we got really good personnel, really good players, and you'll see a good team. I don't want to just go to the tournament. I want to go deep. I want to get deep in the tournament.
That's awesome.
So again, we got kids, man. That's the big kid from Seton Hall. He's here, and he walk in. Nobody in our league look like him. Nobody in our league look like him. I've had the reputation of taking guys that's got talent and revive them and build them back up. And he's an NBA guy. He's an NBA guy. He got NBA size, offensively really good. It's gonna be exciting.
You definitely have that reputation, Coach, and I wasn't joking when I said, because I definitely coached against you in the SWAC, and I know that the fear of you were a thought process. So at the end of the day, the expectations, are high. So people are expecting you. I really think they're expecting you to win at Detroit. And when you're so successful as you've been in the past, it's almost like, man, wait a minute, Mike ain't in the tournament, because you're so used to being in the tournament. So we're excited about it, man. If you have any final words, man, this is your opportunity, just whatever you'd like to say. And, man, we just tell your wife, Tamilia, did I pronounce it right?
Yep, Tamilia, yeah.
Yes, tell her that thank you for allowing you to to take you, have a little time with you, because I know for every great man, there's a great woman behind her, as they say.
Well, my final words is, I've never been a racist person. I grew up in a small town. The percentage of blacks is small, so I understand the mindset of what's going on. This country right now is on alert. It's on alert. But we have to have a plan. And when I say go play for a black coach, hey, you want power. If you want power, it's what you do. What you do, you build. When you invest your money in the stock market, you don't put your money in a stock that you think has no value whatsoever. You put your stock in something that I think is going to grow, and you always look at all the angles of the Apple, the Tesla, whatever. You invest in those. You have to invest in us, and let's just stop saying go out and vote and not having a clear plan of what they're going to do for us. Whatever. I mean, when Obama was president, again, Obama was president for 8 years, and out of those 8 years, less than 10% of the McDonald's All-American went played for a black coach. So that mindset that didn't change anything. Let's stop blaming. Let's stop blaming other people when we have power in certain situations in our own hands. I saw where Denzel Washington, the Black Panther guy who just passed away, Denzel gave him money that he didn't even know he gave it money to the kid. He just gave it to the organization for acting classes, acting camp. 20 years later, the kid tells Denzel, you are the reason that I am where I am, because I couldn't afford to go to this camp, but you donated money back. So Denzel is putting money back to Howard University. That's what we need. When you can build economics, man, you have power. You have power. Go to a nice restaurant and order a meal and tip well, and see how nice they treat you when you come back in the next. They don't forget tippers. They don't forget they fight for your table and wish you sit in their area. So we have the power to build, we have the power to do a lot of things, but we don't even understand the power that we have, because we'll fight for something and we'll fight for, because everybody else is fighting, but we should be fighting for this over here to build this. It makes me, it hurts my heart when I see a big time player don't go play. But I mean, like I said, I'm only talking about the basketball arena. Basketball arena. We should be turning kids down at university. But Detroit hasn't been good. It's a reason. They hadn't been good. It goes back to getting the players that's going to other places to come here and play. This is a great city, man. This is a great city. They have rebuilt this city. It's just something special. We have a black president and a black AD in Detroit. Let's generate enough funds to where you raise the enrollment here by winning big, doing great things. We have alumni here that give us money, man. It's amazing what they want us to do.
Well, man, I appreciate you. And man, a lot of great things that you said here tonight. I am excited, man. I finally got the great Mike Davis on, and you spoke nothing but the truth, the whole truth. So help us, God. Appreciate you, man. Be blessed, and we'll down the road.
Appreciate you.
His name's a geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's a geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's a geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's a geeker, the